Good morning. Welcome to Monday of Holy Week. Now, this is the first of the reflections that I'm going to offer each day about the reading for the day, and with some actions at the end. Today's reading is taken from John's Gospel, chapter 12, verses 1 to 11. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of the disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse, and he used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." When the great crowd of the Jews learned that he was there, they came not only because of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests planned to put Lazarus to death as well, since it was on account of him that many of the Jews were deserting and were believing in Jesus. The story is set in a house where just a few days before Lazarus had died. It was a house that had been filled with the stench of death. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus had been dead 4 days and had been in the tomb 4 days, had been dead longer than that. He was stinkily dead. And so this house had been filled not only with the smell of his death, but with despair and grief. And for the two sisters, a great deal of anxiety about what the future held. Then Jesus had come into their midst, and all had been transformed. Lazarus was raised, bringing joy and anxiety, because now the stakes were raised. As we heard at the end of that reading, not only did they want Jesus dead, but they wanted Lazarus dead as well. And each sibling has responded to this in different ways. Martha responds before Lazarus is raised with her statement of faith in chapter 11, verse 27, where she said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." Lazarus reclines next to Jesus at the meal, an action of deep intimacy and trust. And here Mary responds with an equally intimate action of intimacy, an equally intimate action of trust. But it's also a scandalous gesture that goes beyond her sister's words to a life-changing action. So her sister came out with the right words, but Mary goes beyond that. The fragrance of her expensive perfume fills the house, a house that had been filled with death, had been cloaked in pain and grief, was now transformed into a place of celebration, of joy and life, even if Judas didn't like that. But we'll come to him later. This is a gesture that speaks of belonging and new identity. A woman's hair should only be seen by the men in her family. In her actions, she states that she now belongs to Jesus family. She is part of Jesus whānau now. And in this act, she becomes the first disciple to realize the horror of what is coming. And to this one, she is now giving absolute loyalty to. She offers her love to help him through what lies ahead. As we join with Mary this morning, I wonder what grief and pain we bring to today. Particularly what grief and anxiety this pandemic is causing us, causing to our family. If you have one, I invite you to light a perfumed candle and to reflect on the ways that Jesus might be transforming this, or is at least present in this, as Jesus was present in this story, and in the ways that he is inviting us into life during this time. You might even want to anoint the people with you with some perfume, if you have it, or oil, as a reminder of God's invitation, of God's presence with us this day. And at the end of the day, you might want to share your experience of this story, holding the story with you as you've lived this day, and how you have responded to that. Alistair Henry has put out a resource which also has reflections and actions for each day, and for today he has finished with this prayer. Teach us, loving Lord, to reflect the extravagance of your love in our lives. Jesus, receive our love and worship. Show us how to give you what we have, for nothing is too big or small for us to offer or for you to use. May this day be a blessed day. Amen.